Now, when you go to your security control assessment, now you realize that there are two results that comes out from every control that you assess. You see that the control is satisfied or the control is other than satisfied. When we say a control is satisfied, what do we mean? We mean that the control is fully implemented, or the implementation statement that is being written in the SSP is matching or is being fully implemented within the environment. When we say other than satisfied, meaning that the control is not fully implemented or not fully working effectively. You remember that the controls, you can have an A, B, C, D, D1, D2. Maybe you have A, B, C, D done. D1 and D2 is done. But D3, you have not done that. If D3, you have not done it, we cannot say that the whole control has failed. Why? Because 90% of the controls pass. But what we can say is that the control is other than satisfied. Why? Because it doesn't satisfy the needs, or it doesn't satisfy the purpose through which it has been written. What are the methods that we use to do this assessment? Now, when we are doing an assessment, the first thing that we are doing is examination. When we say examination, what we mean is that you are reviewing policies and procedures, reviewing your SSP, previous assessments. Why? Because you want to understand how the system is working. You want to understand what has gone on within the environment. You want to make sure that you have all those undergrounds so that you can be able to defend it whenever you can. Remember, when you are doing an assessment, after you are done with the assessment, the team can also question you on some of the responses that you came up with. So you want to make sure that when you are doing a review, you are detailing everything. You are writing it down, you are taking screenshots, you are writing your notes very detailed, so you'll be able to defend it. Now, observation. Observation is also under examination. Now, observation means that you want to observe. They said they have a fire extinguisher. Okay, where is it at? You want to observe to make sure that these controls are also well implemented. Then we have walkthroughs. And that is where we walk through some of the controls that you have. Now, some companies, what they do is that they don't want to give the assessor or the auditor access into the environment. So what they do is that they will do a walkthrough of how the control is working, take screenshots, then write detailed explanation of how the control is working, then attach it to the screenshots, do it in the form of a PowerPoint presentation, and that will serve as their walkthrough document when the assessor comes. Isn't that interesting? All right. The second method of assessment I want to talk about is interviewing. Now, interviewing is where you are talking to the control owners or people who have that responsibilities to be able to understand how that control is working. You want to make sure that the people you are talking to, when you are talking to them, you are taking notes, noting the people, their name, their role, the time you talk to them, the dates, the things that they said. Then after you are done, clarify with them if there's anything that is not clear. Why? Because I told you, they will come back and ask you questions about some of these things that you are actually pinking them on. You definitely want to make sure you are taking the right notes. Then the last one is testing. Now, technical testing. When we say testing, this is where you try to find out how the control is implemented, doing the actual technical testing. This is where you take screenshots of some of the things that they said, okay, our system will go off in 10 minutes. It is not going off. You want to take screenshots of some of these things so that you can use that as evidence. Some of the weaknesses that you find during control assessment is that you realize that they have weak policies and procedures. Some of their policies and procedures are very weak password, weak configuration. You also realize that there are people who have quit the environment that majority of the time they have not taken them out of their system. So in an interview, when you are being asked that, okay, what are some of the findings? You can tell them that, oh, there was a time where I went to do an assessment. Now the people that are actually left the company, they have not fully taken away their privileges. And so they still have access to their accounts. Then you know that, okay, there's something that's not working well. And truly, as you dig deep, you're going to realize that there's nobody who have been assigned that role to be able to go through that, because the former person who was there has actually quit the job. And so there was no one. Then you can use that to be able to explain, talk about your experience, and be used that to convince the interviewer that you are the right man or the right person for the job.